Hi, Mariam. Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Hello.
How are you guys?
Good. Good. How are you? Turn on the video. We're waiting for Regina to get on. She's messaging me right now. I'm not sure why she's late.
Great.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're just waiting for Regina and probably a few more people to get on, and then we'll get started. So I'll just keep ourselves on mute for now.
Okay. Hello.
And then we'll get started.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, hello.
Yes, hi. It's Regina.
Hi. Oh, hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Sorry I'm late.
No problem, no problem. So maybe I'll just give a quick intro and then we can go around and I'll introduce ourselves and I'll give you the floor.
Okay.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining. I know a couple of you and I know some of you have joined before, so I won't go into too much detail, but basically I'm Ioana Moriadis. I'm the Partnership and Communication Officer at Ashoka Arab World, and I'm also the Community Manager for the ChangemakH online community, which is a part of a larger Ashoka initiative, the Women's Initiative for Social Entrepreneurship. And I've been working on building a community dedicated to our women fellows. The idea is to help build a space where they can connect with one another, where we can track those connections, help build them, help direct more resources, and events, news, any kind of opportunities toward our women fellows, and create more spaces for dialogues like these. So we've started this series, ChangemakH Building Solutions. We've had 4 thus far, where we've had one woman fellow introduce her change-making story, talk about a problem that she's been facing in her work, and bring that to the discussion within the Ashoka network. So I'm happy to see a lot of different faces here, and I'll give the floor to everyone to start introducing themselves. First, I have Claire here from Ashoka Arab World as well.
I'm the development assistant at Ashoka Arab World. Sorry, I have this like pull in everyone, but I'm very excited to hear more and to meet all of you guys.
I've just muted us all so that we can take turns introducing ourselves. So who would like to go next? I'll just go here in order as I see people. How about Bill? Oh, I'm sorry, I think you're on mute. Unmute. Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks very much. I had hoped to join these conversations earlier. Very excited about the idea of building a community for women fellows and for communicating, you know, among themselves, and so I'm very interested just to understand that, try to support it any way I can. I do a lot of panels and moving around the world, so just trying to just listen in and learn from the conversation. So I appreciate that opportunity, and sorry I haven't been traveling and unable to participate in earlier conversations, but thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you. And then just going down the list. So Liz, go ahead.
Hi, excuse me, morning voice here. It's morning here. I'm Liz Williams. I'm in Chicago in the United States, and I have a business that is a social impact advisory firm. So I educate women on how to shop, invest, and give effectively around causes that are important to them. And so I absolutely love social enterprises, and I particularly love female-owned and run social enterprises. So I'm just here to support in whatever way I can. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I see Carolina. Tell me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, please.
Yeah, that's very correct.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm new here. I mean, I'm for the first time on the call organized by Ashoka. I am working as a sustainability lead for a company, Polish company, software house called NetGuru. And I've been invited to by Agata integration. So we want to take responsibility for our impact on our workers, communities, environment, and customers. So I would like to see how it works. I love to take part in such communities, and I hope to share what I can with you and see how can I learn from you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Mariam, she's another Ashoka Arab World.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
It's Mariam. I also work with Ioana and Claire in Ashoka Arab World. I'm the venture officer. I'm really excited to be here. It's my first time to attend one of these huddles. And we met Regina here during the fellowship, one of our fellowship retreats. So I'm really excited to learn more about what she's doing, and we really want to increase our women fellows. So I really want to learn more about the work that women are doing all over. Thank you, Joanna and Claire.
Thank you, Mariam. So now we can turn the floor over to Regina to introduce herself and tell us a bit more about the topic. I'll say real quick that this is a topic of particular interest to me, especially since we've been working on building this community, which is a form of technology. And we've been trying to really make sure that we're addressing the problems that women fellows are facing and making sure that this is actually of use and creating impact. So I'm really excited for this discussion. Thank you, Regina, for making time. I'll leave it to you now to start the conversation.
Hello? Yes, thank you, Iona. So I'm happy to meet everybody, and so I'm gonna share a little bit about what I do. So I run a technology social enterprise in Accra, Ghana. We have several projects focused on bridging the gender gap in technology for women and girls. So one of our big flagship projects is called ChangemakH Girls, which is a mentorship program where we teach girls from 6 to 18 on how to code and create technology. We also have a coding and human-centered design academy where we teach children and adults, and also people that are differently able, so deaf and autistic children, how to code. And then our final big project is called Women in Digital Skills, where we take women from the informal sector or women from different walks of life, and we teach them digital and also soft skills, and then we connect them with job opportunities, internship opportunities, and opportunities to start their own business. So that in a nutshell is what we do at my tech social enterprise. So it's mostly on the digital training targeted at women and girls. And we operate in Ghana and also in Burkina Faso. I hope everybody heard me.
Yes, we hear
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I was so quiet. Yes, so for me, one thing that has really propelled the work that I do is the power of technology and the power of digital. And I wanted to also talk a little bit about that for first, how I use it to create a brand, and also how I use it to support the work that I'm doing. So when I first started out working in Accra, I really wanted to create myself as a thought leader in my space. And I wanted to bring attention to the issue of getting women and girls into technology. Because when I started, it was like everybody was saying, oh, it's going to be difficult. The girls are not going to understand how to code, and it's too advanced. So really, for me, I wanted to make sure that I use technology as a tool to advocate, but also to create a strong brand. And so on social media, on all the different social media platforms, I decided to have one key message or one key theme that I was going to focus on. So I was tweeting, I was on LinkedIn, Facebook, all about technology for social change, women and girls in technology, and then technology for social impact. And by doing so, I was generating a lot of content, but also spotlighting on the work that we're doing. And I would join trending topics to add my voice. So it was important that, you know, I represented a voice from the continent, especially on technology issues. And what was interesting was when we started out, which was 2012, that was when the whole women and girls in technology movement was also taking off all around the world. So it was very key that I was also able to use technology to add my voice to different trending issues. Now, within our work, whenever there's any issue of world importance which affects people, so an example is we used to work in a slum, and the girls there were predominantly Muslim, and around the time that was where we had the Boko Haram issue, and we had a trending hashtag like Bring Back Our Girls. So for us, it was also important that we lent our voice to that campaign and highlighted how we could, bring attention to the issue, but also share stories of what was happening. So with the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, we were also able to contribute. So really ensuring that we join topical issues has helped us create that brand that has brought a lot of international attention to the work that we're doing, because we're always speaking to issues. Now, and the other thing, I think for every social enterprise, it's important that you assess the impact of the work that you're doing. So establishing that baseline. And for us, we start doing that through different ways. So the first thing that we do is when we go into any community, we have to gather data, because data gathering is very important to track the impact of the work that we're doing, because we're very focused on impact. And the way we used to gather data, we use several means. And even if we go into very rural communities, if we take the information on paper, there are several systems that allow us to capture that information. Google Drive has a lot of really cool tools that also allow us to work centrally within our team. So I also wanted to share some of the really free tools out there that we've used to help us sort of establish, keep the data. So we use Google Docs to gather data, Google Forms to allow us to collect as much information when we're on the field on all our beneficiaries within our programs, to allow us to draw a picture of what the situation was before we came. And we also hope to use this data when we speak to policy or we speak to advocacy. So we gather in a lot of data with Google Docs, and that's kept in the cloud. So it allows me to access that information no matter where I am when I travel. And so once we gather that initial data, in some instances, we also send out a link for some of our beneficiaries, especially the women, to fill out forms to help us get that information. So once we get that, we even use different Google Docs to analyze the information and draw graphs, because sometimes when we are presenting that information to potential funders or different stakeholders, it's good to paint a graphical picture of what the situation was. And we also use different tools. So there's Slack for project coordination that allow us to sort of track what's going on. Now, when it comes to sort of our invoicing and tracking all the money that we spend, there's another free tool called Express Invoice that allows us to sort of gather all the financials. So we track all the money spent, everything that we use for the different projects, and any unforeseen costs. Now, also with social media and creating that brand, for us, we believe a picture tells a very positive story, and we like to present the solution instead of the problem. So one of the things that we do is we make sure that, and now thankfully a lot of smartphones have great cameras, so we make sure that we capture a lot of images. So, and we create these hashtags that people can follow. So you can literally, from the day that we started up till now, everything that we've done, we've documented and put it out there. That also allows for transparency to show really the impact of the work that we're doing, and also to gather feedback from our beneficiaries. So we use a lot of technology for that. We use even things like WhatsApp and allow our beneficiaries to send in information. And in some instances, for when our people are on the field, they even send us videos on WhatsApp to document what's going on and what's happening. And then with creating the brand, with gathering data to track the progress of the impact that we're doing, with gathering feedback, we're doing a lot of graphs and infographics to also show the impact that we're doing. We're also big on storytelling and using technology to tell different stories, because it's also important to hear from the different women that we reach, and also sort of put up their portfolio of their work that they are doing. So we set up a GitHub repository to put up, the work that the women developed, so that you can see it. We also sort of have that portfolio open on a web portal that allows people to come and see what the women have done, and allows them to do these different demos. And I think another tool that we use also to attract different international stakeholders to the work that we're doing is to ensure that, we celebrate different important days. So Girls in ICT Day, which is also global, we also lend our voice to that. And we do a lot of different partnerships. So we partner with a Japanese company called Life is Tech. We partner with several different companies. And it's really us using technology to amplify our voice that allows them to even locate us in Ghana, and to sort of track all the work that we're doing, and all the body of work that we've been able to do, and all the storytelling that we do with the work. I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions or any comments.
Does anyone have any initial comments or questions? Well, I would, oh, go ahead, Bill, I see.
Yeah, Regina, it's great to hear your voice again. It's been too many years since the time that we went through the selection process. But on the impact measures that you use, what are the ones that you found that have been most, consistently useful over time in different kinds of situations? Just curious.
Okay. So for us, one of the big measures of impact, initially we used to assess, when we worked with girls, we used to assess their confidence level. So we would do surveys and find out if the girls are speaking up more in school, if they are participating more, because they were still sort of in the schooling stage and couldn't work. But for now, with the women, one of the things that we track with our impact is secure jobs. We track what stage the women were in, and now how many got jobs, how many got internships, how many started their own business. So our impact measurements now really focuses on looking at not only learning the skill, because that is an initial thing that we do. I mean, we test how many people are able to build websites, build mobile apps, but understanding how they are using that skill to transform their lives. And another thing that we do is also how many women pay it forward. Because most of our programs are free, we encourage the women also to sort of pay it forward. And we see that they do a lot of, some either start their own foundations or start their own social businesses. So we also track that. So those are some of the ways that we track, the impact of the work that we're doing.
Thank you.
Can you, Regina, can you also tell us a little bit about, have you, I don't know, how exactly have you maintained relationships with the girls after they go through your program? I would love to hear more about that. Do you leverage technology for that as well?
Exactly. So we leverage technology for that. So every cohort of women or girls that we work with, they form part of a WhatsApp group. So we use WhatsApp to keep in touch with all the different cohorts. And each cohort is assigned mentors. So one of the things that we use a lot is mentorship. So they have different mentors within the cohorts that they can reach out to, and then they keep communication active on WhatsApp. We also have a Google group. Yes, we also have a Google group where we send weekly opportunities to all of the women in our network. So every week, we actively source out job opportunities, internships, and we send it out in the Google group. We're now also about to do a private Facebook group for all the women also, so that they can share different things. But really, apart from just, also doing calls. So we call every 3 months to just check up. The WhatsApp group has been the most efficient and easiest way to keep in touch with the women. And they form all these different bonds. And one interesting thing is some of the women form an alumni group to give back to the other women and girls in the project. And they also communicate with WhatsApp. So for us, I think WhatsApp is really a powerful way, but we also still use email, we use Google Groups, and then now we're coming to do a Facebook private group.
So actually that raises an interesting question for me, because so I'd love to bring this to discussion just to get some more nuance here and see what others' opinions are. But I think there are different kind of levels of the use of technology that we're talking about here. So you touched on this idea of continuing to build that connection with the beneficiaries, and then you also talked about building that identity and the brand of your organization. And then on top of that, you're actually teaching the use of technology so that they can leverage that in their future. So I'm curious about this connection building aspect of it, and I'm curious what other people's opinions are, because that's something we've run into when we're talking about the ChangemakHers online community too, is how can you make certain platforms more enticing and engaging for others and make sure that it's actually creating impact and building those connections? And how do you compete with platforms like WhatsApp? So WhatsApp is very one-dimensional in a sense, but it's used very frequently, and it's quite impactful in that it keeps people in contact with one another. So I'm just curious about that, about different platforms, how you might compare different platforms, what has been the most useful for like maintaining those relationships and measuring that impact. And what others think as well.
So you're right. I mean, WhatsApp can be pretty one-dimensional, but it is, the most popular and the most used. We tried, at one point in time, we tried a forum, but, once it requires a little bit more work, and by more work, it will mean logging into a different platform, signing up and checking for updates, and then you have to keep updating it. We found that that can be a little bit of a challenge. So then WhatsApp is just easier because it's on everybody's phone. What is also interesting now is we're actually building our own platform, which is a skills assessment tool, to help young women assess their digital skills, and then it connects them to jobs. So once you assess that your skill, if you're good, it connects you to job. If not, it connects you to further training. But from our experience, when we try and introduce like other platforms, sometimes the women, when it requires extra, like them going out of what is easily accessible to them, they may not use it as frequently or as often. So for now, WhatsApp has been working. But what would be interesting to see how we could keep that engagement going. And another thing that is also becoming popular is actually these Facebook groups where the women are able to go online on Facebook and have all these conversations. But when you build your own separate tool, one thing is you have to think about, how accessible it is to different walks of women, how to keep the content coming up, and how to make sure that it's very engaging, and how to segment conversations. Because administering and making sure that you keep interesting conversations to different segments of people, and finding how they can connect both offline and online. Because I feel like sometimes offline connections help with the online connections. If there isn't much engagement past just online, sometimes it's really hard to keep it going just online.
Maybe I can jump in at this point. I am quite new to the organization, so it's a software organization in Poland, and it has 600 employees, and 30% of the staff is working fully remotely, so they never come to the office. And for me, it's a new, and even more is coming from time to time to the office. So the basic way of communicating is online. And for me, at the very beginning, because I just joined 3 months ago, I was a little bit afraid of how it's going to work when you are not sitting with the people you are working with or with whom you have projects. And as you say, you have different projects with different people or different even subjects. You want to keep in touch with different people. And you probably know it. I didn't know it because I was not in IT before that. We are using Slack. And Slack has these opportunities that you have many channels. And I realized after being here for 3 months that it's very useful to be in touch with different groups of people on different topics. And it also enables to see each other. I mean, it has all the options. And actually, I mean, as some of you can see, I'm staying at home. I'm also working remotely. So I found out that I still feel connected to the company, and that this tool, you can have it on the phone. I didn't do it. I mean, I didn't install it on my phone because I'm also working on my work-life balance. So I have it on my Mac, I mean, on my computer. I don't have it on my phone yet, but it's possible to have it on your phone. And the number of functions that are available on Slack really made me almost stop using email, which is for me a surprising. I mean, probably for people who are working in IT, email is something like a fax a number of years ago, but I learned it just now, right? So I am recommending that too, and it looks like it's working for people who are not in the same location. And it also, I mean, it somehow, I feel that the functions that it has, it enables people to connect when they want. I mean, you can snooze, you can come back to the message, and there's so many options. So I think it's a nice platform for communication, and it's ready. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting to me too. The what you mentioned about the idea that you can snooze and all these different options also makes me think that it's quite a dynamic platform. So maybe it makes that connection or that experience of interacting with someone more human-like in some way. So I'm curious about that too, and because some of the conversations we've had about, so not just the Changemakers community, but about Changemakers Connect, or this idea of building movements through technology. We've been talking about how do you maintain that sense of intimacy and that human connection through technology. So I'm curious, what are your others' reflections on that, and the platforms that have allowed you to build that intimacy, or how have you struggled to build that intimacy?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that Slack is also a great tool, and thanks for sharing. And I would also recommend Slack for different organizations to help them communicate. Now, on the question of the intimacy, one thing that I've realized also is, now technology allows, for that anonymity for people to kind of really sort of say whatever it is that they want to say or behave in a certain way. And how do we sort of regulate to ensure that, people feel safe, as a safe space to share? Because one thing I realized is where you have things like cyberbullying happening, or you may have things like people not feeling it's a safe space to share their private information, where it can sort of go out. So one thing that I think helps is, having these house rules. So where you set up these house rules and try and build a community of people where there's trust, and sort of sometimes putting out some intimate conversations, but allowing maybe people to go anonymous as they share those conversations to build that trust, and being very having somebody, an administrator, really make sure that they check and sort of police what goes on, because if you create that community and you don't have somebody who is there to sort of check, so in some instances you'll have some cases where an administrator will approve content before it goes online just to make sure it follows all the guidelines, or will have some sort of, if you break a rule, some consequences. But I feel like if people feel that it's administered and it's policed, right? And they are comfortable enough to share where their information is not going to go out there, or where if they share something intimate or something personal, it's going to stay within a safe space, then they'll be more comfortable to be open. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. So I think it's a challenge with these guidelines or these rules. We also have it. I mean, on Slack, you have this subject channels and you have the private channel. I mean, you can have a private channel when nobody else can join, right? But of course, I don't have this knowledge about whether this information, where is it saved and where does it go, if this is what people might be afraid of, I believe. And also, I don't think there's this function of being anonymous on Slack. So that would be a challenge. But I don't have the answer of course, we don't have the answer for the most difficult questions. So, I mean, on the how to make people follow the rules, we also have a channel internally in the company, and where people make jokes. And of course, I mean, we make jokes from different kinds of things. And there are jokes we wouldn't like to have in our company, you know, but we still have, I mean, people just, you know, I mean, it's like a normal thing that you are saying things that are not politically correct and stuff like that. And then we keep this channel, but we are afraid that one day it will just go too far. I mean, if you don't stop what is going on, there might be some consequences for the culture. So I just wanted to share that we also have this doubt about you can create as many guidelines as you wish, and there still is nobody, I mean, who can just, you know, cut it, or we don't know if we should or we shouldn't. This is my challenge at this point. Yeah, just wanted to share that, yeah, it's a challenging part about the guidelines or moderator of whatever there is. Bill, you smiled about the jokes. Why did you smile? We cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm dating myself because I was in business in New York, and you know, it was you'd see something in the morning and you're riding in on the train, and by the middle of the afternoon you'd be talking because the brokers and traders, and by then they would have amassed all the jokes, and so then they'd be calling people around and say, but it was before the internet, right? So by the end of the day, everybody who was basically was working in Midtown Manhattan had the most, you know, not, as you were saying, I mean, rather graphic in many cases, jokes about whoever and whatever was going on in the world. So, but I was just thinking about how the world has evolved and how now you have joke channels. I'd never heard of a joke channel before, but it sounds like a terrific idea. I mean, just to let off the pressure, right? Let off the gas, you know, when you're all running around in, you know, Mach 5, right? And then you stop and say, oh, this is the insanity of it, you know, all gets to you, and you have to have some way to release that. So it sounds like
definitely.
It's very healthy. I mean, I think that's one of the healthiest, you know, things I've heard about the internet.
So yeah, the challenge is that, and I totally agree. When we had communistic times in Poland, we had these cabarets, and so that was for people who had tensions, and I mean the whole political situation was just a mess. So this is where they were kind of letting go, right? But what I'm thinking about is jokes are jokes, but then you still have some discrimination there sometimes, right? Or you start about disability, you joke about disability, you joke about culture, you joke about ethnicity, and then it stops because, I mean, there are people who feel they are touched. I mean, not touched is the wrong word. I don't know.
They feel they've been criticized or they've been attacked.
So I have nothing against jokes, and I love all sorts of jokes, but I'm just afraid that if there is too much of these jokes about, for example, diversity, then it is dangerous a little bit.
I agree. Yeah. And now, you know, I mean, certain words and even how you express certain things, you have to be very sensitive. I think now we live in a very sensitive world where a joke can definitely cause a lot of commotion.
Yeah.
Liz, I think, yeah, go ahead. I
Yeah.
thought you were.
You know, I was just going to circle back to this conversation about building community online, because I do think it's a really important conversation. And I hate to be doubtful, but I believe still that we cannot duplicate face-to-face interaction online. I mean, I just don't think we can. I think we're meant to be ideally face-to-face with people that we can touch, we can feel, we can, you know, really sense their emotions. So ideally, we have those circles around us wherever we are. However, online, what I find in the communities that I'm in is where the connection really happens. It can happen like this, but then it's taking it to the next step, which is connecting one-on-one with someone that you've, you know, sent some resonance with, whatever that is. And I have created numerous friendships. The beauty of technology is numerous friendships with people around the globe. And as what I find is it's amazing as women, and Bill, I don't mean to leave you out, but that's where that's the circles that I'm in, but as women, to connect in such a deeper way, to learn how much alike we are, how our challenges are very similar wherever we are in the world. And just to really bond. And you talk about building a movement. I find this happening in these partnerships that I'm creating, these one-on-one partnerships or that type of thing with women all over the world. So, you know, I think sometimes we just have to find the space or the time to take that extra step to reach out, or to be available if someone reaches out to you to connect. The other thing that I think can encourage that is when we have a forum like this, where there's a number of people on a line, and I use Zoom all the time, but where there's a number of people, then having those breakout groups where you go into a group of, like in this, there's only 6 of us, but if there's a larger group, you go into those groups of 2 or 3, and that bonding starts right there around a question or something. And so you start to make that connection, and then that might prompt you to say, let's connect offline, you know, let's connect in another way. So that's been my experience, and I think it's magnificent. I mean, I think what can happen, the movements we can create, the support we can provide to each other around the world is just absolutely magnificent. So that's it.
Yes, so I think that is great. Yeah, and there's so much power in online community and sort of being able to connect and exchange ideas and create a movement. I think now online is really driving that communal spirit back again and getting different groups of people to sort of congregate and take action. So back home, I mean, we've seen different online communities that have really even caused change within government, caused change within policy. So there's really that power in online communities, and understanding how to build one and create these safe spaces, but also regulate it so that people feel comfortable. I think it's also very important.
Regina, also, could you talk a bit more, because I found it also really interesting how you spoke a bit about creating that identity, and you said there was one key message that you wanted to, can you talk a bit more about how you use technology or different platforms to also send that message out and really make an impact in that way? Yeah.
So I think now with the power of technology and communication, the other thing is, how do you stand out with all the, not to say like noise, but all the different content that is out there, and how do you sort of brand yourself? So for me, it was really about standing out and being that space where people came to find certain information. So I wanted to stay key on one message and not dilute my message. So if I was very active and engaged on one particular key message, and you came onto any of my platforms online, it was easier for you to sort of find what you're looking for against all the other different types of content or information that's out there. So that really helped solidify the brand for me as a thought leader in my space, because everything I did, everything I said was around that one key message. And for people that were attracted to that message or wanted to know more about that, they found my page or the content that I had like a place to go to, you know, to get that. So it even helped drive drive me up on Google. So if you're searching for women in tech in Ghana or girls coding in Ghana, I wanted to also put a lot of search engine optimization, and that helps when you have that on your website, but you also have a lot of your content being shared or a lot of information from your pages being put out there. So that also helps people to find me easily. So I really just wanted to stand out, whereby when you came to my page or you came to my profile, there was no confusion as to what my message was. And for all those interested in that message, I was like a place to go to for that information.
Also
and I just also wanted to add, I just also wanted to add that I had to ensure that the content was also very engaging. So for me, it was not just about staying on message, but ensuring that I had very engaging content such that when you came onto my page, you know, there was that interactivity, but also there was great content. So everything I did, from even the images, was all about telling a story. So also the storytelling component was also very key in making sure that my page was interactive and engaging.
Carolina, I think you had wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was wondering, I mean, I don't know if that's an adequate question, but I wondered, Regina, if you think that finding like a partner coding girl in Poland would be something of interest to you. I mean, there's a lot of women in NetGuru, and we are right now actually building, and I believe we will kick it off early next year, a kind of sharing skills program. And it's just like an open question. I mean, I don't know yet. I'm still getting to know the company, but is this kind of cooperation for the network that you have something of interesting or not really?
Yes, definitely. I would love such engagement. I mean, we really enjoy having those exchanges and you know, forming those different partnerships, and it enriches the conversation and also the experiences for the women. So it's a big yes for me.
So let's connect again. Let's connect, like Elizabeth said, one-to-one, and see whether we can just even pilot something. I'm pretty sure there is a lot of women in our organization that would love to join. So again, bear with me. I need to get to know the organization a little bit better. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, people want to share, and I feel it in the culture. So maybe we can just try to do something together, or even like spreading the network is always a next step, right? I mean, it can always lead to something.
That would be great.
Okay, let's go. Shall I find you on LinkedIn? You're there?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can just search for Regina Honu. Yeah, you'll find me on LinkedIn.
Okay, I'll find you. So you will. Let's meet there. Let's connect there.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Well, I have to say that the connection already excites me. So, but I also wanted to ask, Regina, you were talking about people who were interested in your message, engaging with the content you were putting out and that identity you were creating. Were there any communities that were not as receptive, maybe, or did not know about your message that you were also able to engage, and how are you able to do that? I'm curious about those who might not have been in your circles.
Yes. So I think the first community actually were some men that felt threatened by groups where we were empowering women and felt that women. Hello?
Hi, I think we lost you for a second. Could
Yes, sorry about that. No, so I was saying an initial community where some group of men who weren't very thrilled with the idea of women being empowered and learning different technologies. So it was really about showing them that this, and showing them what the women were doing, and showing them that technology was really allowing them to express their passions, and also changing the narrative for them that they are young girls who use technology. Okay. And also showing them that, you know, young girls could use technology also to make money for the family. Because before, you know, the value of a girl was just in like her bride price for getting married. So we also had to use that as a platform to show them that, oh, girls can use technology and to even make money and help take care of the family. So we were also able to convince that group to show them what women and girls in technology could do. Women and girls in technology could do. And other groups that we brought, other groups that we brought on board were people understanding how to use technology and understanding like where to start, how to start, so also showing them that it doesn't have to be so difficult or so like scary. So really showing them that there were different entry points, because there were some people that thought, you know, you have to be a math wizard or shark to be able to understand technology. So really showing them that it's something simple that anybody can do. So those were also different groups that we communicated with. And then I think also on the policy side was different agencies that were looking on how they could integrate technology into their work. So we got a lot of people coming on and also even visiting us to understand how they could also use technology with the work that they are doing or add it to their program offerings that they had. So those were like all the different ways we were able to sort of change the narrative for people about technology and get them to respond more positively to our message.
Have you been able to measure in any way the amount of male mindsets that you might have changed, for example, in the community?
That's a good one. We haven't measured it with data. It's just now we see more enrollment from the women and girls. We see more fathers sort of coming and saying that they want their daughters or their wives. And what is a good measure is when we have husbands even come in and say, I want my wife to take part because, you know, I want her to better herself. So we haven't measured as a data point, but we've just seen like a lot of positive engagement from the men in supporting the women and girls in their lives.
Huh. I see that someone else has joined us too, so I wanted to invite, I think, Anna. I'm not sure to introduce yourself if you'd like to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please go ahead. Does anyone have any other questions for Regina?
Thank you.
I don't have a question. I just want to say I think you're doing an amazing work. I mean, you've hit all the key points with your impact measurement, with getting feedback from the beneficiaries, with it's fabulous. You're doing an excellent job. So I applaud all of your efforts and know that you'll continue to just grow your success, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Regina, are you connecting with any of our other fellows in in Africa in general? I was going to say in West Africa, but just in general, who are working on this issue at the same time, or around this set of issues, or is there? The question was really, you know, do you get the veiled question was whether or not we could help you with spreading or introductions.
So I need to do more of that. My only engagement has been through the Globalizer with sort of an Ashoka affiliate to expand to Burkina Faso, but I would love to do more connections with other fellows to scale and expand.
Okay. Okay. I will, let me reach out and see if I can't follow up and make some of that happen. Get that ball rolling.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any, Regina, are there any challenges that you feel you've been facing recently that you're kind of looking to seek more feedback on, or what is it that you're focusing on growing now in the coming years?
Okay, so for me, one of the big things is we really are looking at, what happens next after all the trainings and being engaged in sort of getting the women in job opportunities and changing people's mindset around, giving more opportunities for women and girls. So it's really, and also helping the women with that self-doubt. That's also a big issue, because we realize that sometimes after you've trained and all of that, you have to help them also want to go for opportunities as much as they can. So working on that soft skill component, and even on the issue of certification, because for some companies, they require certain certification, and how can we get around that to say, like, look, they have the skill, they don't necessarily need a piece of paper to say, like, oh, from a university, if they can do the work, you should give them a chance, and then just support for those who want to start their own businesses. So right now, the big thing that we're focused on is what happens next after you train somebody, because training is fine, but it's not enough to get somebody to where you need them to go, like for a dignified and fulfilled life.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I'm also curious, how do you see your beneficiaries talking about technology afterwards, or the power of it afterward? Do you see them also communicating that to other people, or like using the language you'd like them to? I'm just curious about. Yeah.
Yes. So we see that engagement, and there is instances where maybe for those who don't have like access to laptops, and all of that, their progress is a little bit slower. And so for us, even now, one of the things that we're doing, and also support from different stakeholders when they go back, is also a bit of a challenge. So one of the things that we're thinking about is a radio show about technology in local language, so that more people understand the value and the importance, so that they get more support. So we see that, but they need actually more support once they go back into these communities that don't know what an empowered woman is like, and we'll try and sort of bring them back into the positions that they feel that they are supposed to be in, and also resource allocation so that they can continue.
It seems to me that that's where that education of the men is so critical. So
Exactly.
yeah. So that, you're saying you're starting to kind of tap into that. That may be another initiative that would be worth pursuing, is how do we start to bring those men together and have conversations about what an empowered woman looks like, and how, that's good for everyone, and what we can do to continue to support that growth.
Exactly.
It needs to happen here in the United States too. So that's just a conversation.
It has to happen everywhere.
Worldwide, right. So thank you, Bill, for being here. Seriously.
Oh, no, thank you.
And,
Okay. So just let me quickly, Regina, just to clarify this, the issues that the skills questions you got are, and just trying to make sure I understand. One set that we were focused on early was the technique, getting the technical skills, right? And then the question, the second question, but with this gap that they're facing after they've learned this, is it that they simply haven't had a chance to? Two sets of skills. One is just workplace skills, right? And that comes with it. The social and emotional skills of working in being in a workplace, and all the ambiguities and challenges that brings. And then there's the question of fluency in terms of being able to use your technical skills in a workplace setting, which is different. Is it, when you're looking at the challenges, is it both? or is it a mix of both, or is it more one than the other that they're facing now, or is it just literally not being able to escape the drag, right, of being back in their communities and saying, oh, forget about all this. We're going back to the, old ways of doing things.
No, so it's a mix of all of that for different groups of women. You'll have some that will get support in the communities but need the workplace skills and the technical skill. You'll have some that, are just driven but also need the technical skills to help them get to the next level. So we look at that whole mix. And because the beauty of a woman is they are complex beings, from different environments. So there isn't like a one size fits all. So we try and look at that range and see how we can intervene for the different groups of women that we work with.
On the French side, the French have actually pioneered a fair amount of fairly sophisticated insertion initiatives. I'm not so sure whether they've done a great job with that with women or specifically, but I know a number of companies have reached out and used insertion strategies. Are there, that was just popped in the top of my head, but I don't know whether that's a proven solution for the range of questions you've got, but I can't imagine that the French companies that have had experience with that as a structural choice that they can make might not have experimented with it, but I don't know. Because what you're talking about is a little bit of is exactly why the French designed that program and made it part of the thing that enterprises had an opportunity to access in France, because they had this constellation of problems. The inter-workforce problems that they had to overcome in order to get people into the workforce. It'd be interesting to reach out to the it'd be interesting to reach out to to maybe some of the fellows in Senegal who right on the edge of that, and maybe the France office to see. I don't know. I don't know about it on the English-speaking side in a structural way, because there is no analog, but that might be something to explore. It's kind of a long shot.
That sounds great. Yeah,
I will
take a look at that.
Okay, and I'll if you don't mind, I'll just connect you. I'll include you in emails in a couple of places and just see what kind of response we get.
That sounds good.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any other questions, Regina, to bring to the group?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good for now. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, I can also, on the side of the Changemakers community, and I can check with some Arab World Fellows too, if there's potentially anyone that might be interesting to connect with here, or maybe those women fellows who are on the community as well.
That would be great. Thank you.
Can I ask you one more quick question before we run? And I apologize, and then I promise to shut up. Access to incubators, do they have access to incubators at all?
Yes. So we actually partner with an incubator that was looking to increase their female pipeline. So there is that option there for access to incubators for the women. So, and that's one thing that we're also looking into, especially for the seed capital stage, because we don't do seed capital. So we're looking at how they can get even more training and get seed capital to help them grow whatever business idea that they have.
Got it. Thanks. That gives me an idea of a fellow to reach out to.
Okay.
Thank you. Does anyone have any final thoughts?
I just wanted to thank you. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you, and I'm happy to be here, and I hope we can connect connect our networks online and see how we can support.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Regina. Thank you for making some time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's great to hear your voice.
Same here. Thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yes, fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.